represent so that the committee will be aware.
Senators, thank you for hearing me today. I am Nader, and I am the Director of Reproductive Health Services here in Montgomery, one of the 5 last clinics in the state of Alabama, and I have been at the clinic for 35 years. I brought with me today copies of our regulations, which I will put here. This bill is based on a plate of false premises to begin with. It says that physicians don't do abortions in the state of Alabama. The regulations clearly state that physicians do that. The bill also says that our physicians all have to have privileges. We have a contractual relationship with a physician here in Montgomery that has admitting privileges to the hospital. We have a line that's answered 24 hours a day for any patient who has a problem, even if it is in the middle of the night. They will talk to a nurse who then assesses and then contacts the physician. If the patient needs to go to emergency room, then the physician will have orders or meet the patient at the emergency room. But the patients have ongoing continuous care even after an abortion. So the simple information that's in this bill that starts out saying that physicians aren't providing continuity of care and that aren't doing abortions is just plain false. Having all of my physicians to have admitting privileges would be disastrous, plain and simple. It would shut down the facility because all my physicians are not going to be able to obtain admitting privileges. This is the same as the Mississippi bill, and we know in Mississippi that that clinic is probably going to close. That was the intention of the bill to begin with, and that simply was because the physicians cannot, they cannot get admitting privileges because they don't live in the area. Even my physician here in Montgomery has taken a lot of heat for being just the backup physician and providing aftercare services for our patients. The second thing is that I want to address is the ambulatory surgical center designation. And that, once again, may not close every facility, but none of us can refit the buildings that we are in to become ambulatory surgical centers. We're not ambulatory surgical centers. We have a definite
your time has expired.
Thank you,
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a quick question?
Senator Bussey.
Where do your physicians come from?
I have a physician that comes out of Atlanta. I have actually 2 physicians that come out of Atlanta, and one of them is out of DC, is out of Washington, DC.
Senator Coleman.
Where are these physicians at hospitals? Are they currently practicing in hospitals? I mean, do they have admitting privileges at other hospitals?
At other hospitals, 2 of them do have admitting privileges. One of them has admitting privileges in Atlanta, the other one has admitting privileges in DC.
Thank you, ma'am. Fred?
Hi, my name is Reverend Fred Hammond. I'm the minister at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Tuscaloosa. Let's be honest about what HB57 really is about. The fiscal notes make the intention of this bill very clear. It is to shut down medical clinics, not to protect the lives of women. This is about government interfering in the individual rights of women having domain over their own bodies. Plain and simple. This is not about safer medical issues, safer medical clinics. Stiff regulations with Class C felony charges for noncompliance are an attempt to bully clinics into closing if they are unable to comply with the regulations because of cost factors to come up to the new codes. Codes that include interfering with doctors determining the safest course of action of their patient. Do not be deceived by HB57. It is not about safety. It is about interference and choices women make over their own bodies. Women will seek abortions whether there are clinics in this state or not. The question is, will the women have them in medical clinics or in some alley as they did 40 years ago before Roe versus Wade? I urge you to vote down HB57.
Thank you, Fred. Amy?
My name is Amy Shatterman, and I am providing a statement on behalf of Dr. Pepper Aston. She is a board certified physician in Huntsville, Alabama, and her caseload today would not allow her to be here. Dr. Aston is a recognized expert on pediatrics, on health issues such as abuse in children and teens, developmental disability, and she has worked tirelessly for improving health care delivery for underserved populations. Her statement: Dear Senators, I regret that I was unable to personally attend today's session due to patient care responsibilities. I have asked to have this statement read on my behalf. I am specifically addressing the provision in HB57 that would require physicians performing abortions to maintain local hospital privileges. Many of you may not be aware that hospital privileges do not just allow physicians to admit patients. They also include a series of duties. In fact, physicians with privileges are considered staff members of the hospital, even if they don't draw hospital salaries. Duties of active physician staff vary between hospitals, but it is standard to include a requirement to live within a certain radius of the facility to allow emergency arrival when called. Physicians are generally required to admit a specified number of patients within a credentialing period, typically a 2-year cycle. They must often attend a minimum number of staff meetings and serve on various hospital committees. There are also requirements in most acute care hospitals to take call. This means being available to the hospital to care for persons who do not have a personal physician on staff. The frequency of such coverage depends on the size of the staff available to share coverage. Because of these requirements, a physician who's performing abortions would be restricted by HB 57 to practice and live within a single community. A physician who only does abortions would not meet the minimum inpatient admission requirements to obtain active staff privileges, except if they are willing to take call for patients with other health problems. And the reason for this is that it's rare for an abortion
Your
patient
time
to
has
need
expired.
hospital admission.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, Julie, Gloria, and Charles.
Greetings and thank you for listening. I have here the current open clinics, complete citations as we could find them listed. HB 57 proponents have often cited clinics that have been closed for years, so I'm just going to leave them here. I would like to make it clear that we are not here to defend unsafe abortion clinics. Reproductive health centers should be held to the same high standards as every other medical practice, and I believe they are. Of course, they do have an edge, because abortion is one of the safest procedures in medicine, with a mortality rate of 0.84 per 100,000 procedures. Over the past 6 years in Alabama, exactly 2 procedures have resulted in complications. Taking an average from 2008, when there were about 11,000 procedures done, I'd say that 2 out of 66,000 hardly constitutes unreasonable risk. And yet providers of this essentially safe procedure are required to be inspected by the health department every year. Now, ambulatory surgical centers receive similar treatment to hospitals with much fewer inspections over long periods of time. For instance, in one 8-year period, according to the data we were able to obtain, a group of 10 ASCs received a total of 16 inspections, which would average out to about 1.5 inspections every 8 years. In the last 5 years, the remaining women's health clinics in Alabama have had a combined total of 16 reported deficiencies, the majority of which were unrelated to patient health or safety. In contrast, during 1 year, it only took 2 of Alabama's ambulatory surgical centers to rack up 18, and most were directly related to patient health
Your
and
time
safety.
has expired.
I would
Thank
like
you,
to
Julie.
say that we have excellent regulations in place. Every clinic that was substandard has been closed.
Thank you, ma'am. Gloria?
Good afternoon. My name is Gloria Gray, and I'm the director of West Alabama Women's Center in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. The rules and regulations of the Ambulatory Surgical Center requirements are excessive requirements. These are based on the fact that they are assuming that we have 4 or more patients present in the clinic that have received moderate to heavy sedation, and that is not the case. We have current regulations that require that if we have 4 or more patients who are incapacitated, we have to meet those same requirements as Ambulatory Surgical Center. So making this an automatic is absolutely unnecessary. The upgrade to the Ambulatory Surgical Center classification seems to be requiring 4 more patients heavily sedated that are on gurneys. Standard operating procedures for the clinics are only light to moderate sedation, since there is only one doctor per clinic, and the procedures are done one at a time. Typically, there are no more than 3 women in recovery at any one time. All the women in recovery, unless they're handicapped, are ambulatory and are capable of being escorted outside in the case of emergency. There is no need for gurneys that would require wired corridors, as patients are never put on gurneys in the first place. The Alabama Fire Marshal for the state of Alabama stated that the 0% of fires are not in healthcare facilities. Reproductive health centers are more like doctor's offices than little hospitals. And I'm running out of time. The 5 remaining clinics that are in Alabama are not fly-by-night operations, as they've been accused of. The violations, every violation that I have heard stated to justify this bill has been on a clinic that has been closed, which tells me the current regulations are working, the health department is doing their job, and they're closing the clinics. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon. My name is Charles Miller. I'm a business consultant. I'm certified by the Project Management Institute, and one of the knowledge areas that I'm certified in is risk management, and I'll touch on that today. And what I'm about to say is based on an analysis of the bill and the current regulations. And the current state code provides adequate regulation for the operation of abortion clinics. The safety record that you've heard speaks for itself. The professional qualifications of the medical director and nursing personnel defined in the existing code are adequate, especially when you consider that the professional standards of care and communication in the current code are ones you might expect in any specialized, once-in-a-lifetime procedure, including consultation with other physicians. And from a patient standpoint, the standards the abortion doctors are held to seem to exceed what I have with my gastroenterologist, and I can't even remember its name, or a general surgeon that you might consult. In this bill, finding 3 states that abortion or reproductive health care centers are not operated in the same manner as the ambulatory surgical treatment centers or physician offices. And this may be a factual statement. In fact, the ambulatory centers and doctor's offices are vastly different. According to, and you heard clinic operator Gloria Gray talk about the fact that there's no major surgery, there's no major organs removed, and there's no C-sections being performed. And under current legal definition, there is no human life being taken. The bill asserts that that is a fact. It is not a legal fact. It might be a religious opinion, but under current law, it is not a legal fact. Now, some outpatient procedures performed in doctor's offices only, sometimes when you have a procedure in a doctor's office, you get light or even moderate sedation, and that's in an office setting.
Your time has expired.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charles.